Hi, Professor. I'm going to start my presentation. For my project, the topic I decided was the Great Barrier Reef. The Great Barrier Reef is the largest ecosystem in the world. It stretches over 2,300 kilometers, and 10% of the world's total fish species can be found here. So it's called the Barrier Reef because it's separated from the Australian coast by a lagoon of water. So how was it formed? It was formed after the last ice age. Sea levels rose around the world, flooding the coast. And then as the seas rose, coral began to grow on the Rocky Mountain ranges. And then for the first illustration, you can see this is the Great Barrier Reef on the right, but you can see this little island and then a little lagoon between them. And then on the right side of the image, you can see the coral reefs. So why is it important? It's important because the Great Barrier Reef is dying due to climate change. The rising of sea temperature means the reefs are at greater risk of heat stress and mass coral bleaching. Coral bleaching is when the coral loses their vibrant colors and turns white. This happens when the water temperature is too high. The coral releases the algae, and then when the algae leaves, the coral fades, making it a bleached color. So then a change in the water temperature as little as 2 degrees Fahrenheit causes coral to drive out algae. And there's an example of this right here in the second illustration. You can see on the left side of the coral, there's the algae, it's vibrant, it's colorful. And then on the right side is with no algae, and it's just an example of coral bleaching. So once coral dies, it's hard for the reefs to maintain. Thousands of marine animals depend on coral reefs. They provide shelter for species to live and protect them from predators. It is also a food source for these predators, such as turtles, birds, and sharks. And it is also a spawning ground for fish to lay their eggs and reproduce. The Great Barrier Reef also helps us by being a natural barrier that absorbs the force of waves and storms. Cyclones caused by climate change destroy our reefs but protect our coastlines. And then this map right here on the far corner, you can see is categorized into four sections: far north, north, central, and south. This is the coastline in Australia, and this is also the Great Barrier Reef. You can see on the north, the range is 47 to 83% dead, which is bad. So the average is around 67. And the far north is at 26. It's not too good as well, but the central and south is doing a little better. Central 6%, and then south, there's really no change. So this is where you can see the coral healthy and vibrant, and then you can see, I guess, more species. So how can we restore the Great Barrier Reef? Scientists found 2 ways to restore it. The first one is through coral raceways. It's a controlled environment with it's a controlled environment where they can grow. And then the scientists collect the coral and place them in these tubs where they are monitored. And then once they grow over a period of time, they place them back into the wild. The first image in the middle, you can see a whole bunch of different types of corals. And then they're in this tub where you see that they have a filtration system to resemble the water, and then it's just flowing through it. And I just thought it was a cool picture with the luminescent lights. And then the second way is through nurturing. So then scientists collect coral and use nurturing to help them grow. So they put them in the nurseries they built in the ocean, and then when they are safe, they're able to grow. Then they put them back onto the seafloor. And the second image right here just shows these scientists, they go underwater and then they collect them from the floor. They put them onto these tubes. They're right above the seafloor. They're a little bit safer. I've seen they have nets around them. And then I can see how they have little circles, and they put the mud or the sand, and then they put these little corals, and then they're pretty small. And then once they grow, they help the reef go back to its natural state, and then they put them back on the seafloor. And I just want to finish off with a quote, and the quote states, "There's nothing wrong with enjoying looking at the surface of the ocean itself, except that when you finally see what's going on underwater, you realize that you've been missing the whole point of the ocean." And that's it.